So the confidence that people have in their beliefs is not a measure of the quality of evidence, but the coherence of the story that they have in their mind that they've managed to construct. And hey, what's really good at constructing a story? Yeah, right? So this is why we've got to be careful on how we use AI in order to move ourselves from, problem set to solution set. Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Rhys. Thank you for joining Experiment Nation Connect 2025. I'm here to talk to you today about that topic that everybody at every event you're ever going to is asking you. You know what I say? Most of the same ones you do, dude. But what I'm trying to do with AI lately has really helped me unlock my own brain, thinking through problems with more clarity, with more precision, and actually saving the planet while doing it. Let's talk about it today. Okay, so let's take this as a really good example right off the bat. I've got two young kids at home. They're 5 and 3. Meal times can be a bit, not exactly a breeze. Sometimes when I'm meal planning, I got to come up with all these options, make a grocery list. Meal planning's a lot. Ask any parent. Also a perfect demonstration of what I want to talk about today and the way that we use our brain and loop in AI to help us do that. So ready for this example? Okay, quick. Create a list of 100 dinner ideas. No more detail. Just go, okay? When you're doing that list, do that in your head. I'm going to ask you later, narrow that list of 100 meals down, just your 5 for the week. Okay, don't actually do it. 100's a lot. But how would you do it, right? The question is, how did you generate that list? Did you generate that list around ingredients? Did you generate it around like maybe cuisines? Like go aheads, like your kids are going to eat, and then sort of build out from there. What you're doing with your brain is you're using expansive thinking. The second thing you were doing is you were narrowing your list, right? The next thing that I asked you to do is I wanted you to narrow your list, right? And that's a different type of brain activity. How did you do that? Pick your favorites. Did you go with what your kids are going to eat again? Figure out what you've already got in the fridge and build a menu around that. It's practical. And they're all reasonable as well. But you had a framework for doing that. You probably had some sort of criteria for breaking down that list of 100. That takes a different mode of thinking. Today, we're going to look at how that actually helps you engage with your workflow and with AI in a smart way to keep yourself productive. Your brain already knows how to think in 2 modes. Use AI collaboratively. We actually got to help it prompt in a way that matches the mode that we're in so that we're getting the result that we actually want to get. Because who hasn't been there? You've asked AI to prompt something and it comes back with a novel and it's not formatted right. It's trying to get the right answer when really there's a method to doing this and it can be a little more careful. I look at it as, measure twice, cut once. You can be a little more precise with your responses as well. Because you can get a really well-structured, thought out, bullet by bullet or tabled result response that you can pretty much copy paste with a little bit of editing, some copy paste into your workflow, whether you're making experiment ideas, whether you're generating hypotheses and refining those back down, analyzing and synthesizing the results from a series of tests. And AI can help you do all that in a way that's really precise as long as you're prompting properly. So let's get into that. So I want to clarify, what we're not talking about is a handful of A/B tests. I'm talking to CROs here, so you guys know as well as I do, this is the full experimentation cycle from discovery down to validation, finally into optimization, right? Okay, so why listen to me? Who am I? My name is Rhys. That is how you pronounce that, although I never bought a vowel. My story so far began my career in startups through a lot of trial and error, lots of fast lessons. I managed to grow those 2 SaaS startups to their first series of funding. After that, I moved to enterprise. I moved to Intuit, where I ran the TurboTax e-commerce program in Canada, with 65 million in revenue, and if you can believe it, 14 million visits in a year. I know, back in my startup days, if I would have begged for 5% of that traffic back in the day, but yeah, 14 million visitors came through. You can believe we ran a lot of tests on a lot of visitors at Intuit. Outside of work, I'm a dad, I'm a gardener, I'm a decent cook, although lately it's a lot more hot dogs and cereal. And my recharge activity of choice lately is yelling at the screen when my 2 favorite soccer clubs are on TV. AI is useful, sure, but it does have a cost. AI costs the planet energy and water. You wouldn't leave your shower running to steam your clothes, leave your fridge door open while you made dinner, and you wouldn't keep the AC and lights on while you're on vacation out of your home. Same thing with AI. And I hope that this video will help you write better, more concise, more precise prompts so that you can get the job done with less wastage. I've started to think about AI a little bit more like a 3D printer than like a Google search. What I mean is it's super adaptable, it can prototype almost anything, but I take the time to think through the prompt to solve exactly the job that I want it to solve, rather than using it as a, off the whim kind of search engine. Great. Got that little disclaimer out of the way. Now let's jump into this premise that I'm bringing up about two modes of thinking.
My name is Romo Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no-nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama, is out now. Find it at experimentation.com and all major bookstores today.
Studies have shown that there are two modes that our brains can operate within. There's the expansive mode, which we call divergent thinking, and then there's a refining mode, which we call convergent thinking. We're not talking hemispheres, by the way. A lot of that whole left brain, right brain stuff kind of got debunked, but we know the brain's a little more interconnected. There's system one thinking, which is fast and creative and expansive. And then there's system two thinking, which is thinking slow, methodical, analytical. In a brainstorm, for example, we're pretty familiar with that idea. We always say, like, every idea counts, nothing's poo-pooed, like it all works. But after that, we're going to go through and we're going to clean up, right? So the confidence that people have in their beliefs is not a measure of the quality of evidence, but the coherence of the story that they have in their mind that they've managed to construct. And hey, what's really good at constructing a story? Yeah, right? So this is why we've got to be careful on how we use AI in order to move ourselves from problem set to solution set. Just don't use AI to remove the thinking. Your brain does the thinking, your AI can support. And I'm kind of making this premise that you can use AI as more of like a lab partner, if you will, than an answer engine, right? A couple areas right off the jump. I'm actually going to start with the no's before we get into the yeses. Some of the no's would be things like using AI to pretend to be your human persona. Yeah, there are a couple LLMs out there that pretend to make what they call synthetic audiences. Just chew on that for a second. Synthetic audiences. I would question right away whether it even feels good to say that rather than doing the good, honest work of talking to your customers, the humans. I'm largely not into the synthetic audience move. I think that's a big move going into dangerous territory. It's becoming an echo chamber. Anyway, enough of that. Fact checking. Look, yeah, still hallucinates. Most of the LLMs still hallucinate. And we can't rely on AI, which is a generative model, to answer stuff with logic. It's not good at real-time info. Yes, all the major LLMs can search the web today, but I'm sure you've noticed they're still a touch out of date. Sometimes it's a bit wonky where they choose their sources, and it's harder to use them as a up-to-date source for information, so I wouldn't. It also doesn't work for calculations. But math, again, when it comes to fact-checking, when it's complex math, you have to check with another source than AI to do your math. It's using popularity, not calculation, to do this work, so I wouldn't use it for that. And finally, when we talk about validation, we're talking about like in-market validation. Like, is this popular? Is this a good idea? Is this signal or is this noise? So that's the topic for today, which is how to unlock AI as your helpful lab partner by unlocking those two modes of thinking. Click. There we go. Number one, problem definition and talking through customer discovery interviews. Developing a premise that's tying those experiments together. It is so critical. It's where I spend a lot of my time with clients talking about why, what's next, so what? You found a winner, that's great, but what does that mean for your business? You can't go to the bank or to your investors with a single A/B test win. It's got to be linked and connected to the rest. And as long as you're learning the underlying premise behind why you think those winners are happening, test brief hypothesis writing, yeah, I probably save a lot of time here. Who hasn't spent way too long copywriting their hypothesis and getting it just right? Same, guilty. AI, and Claude in particular, is really, really good at just being short, curt, to the point, does a great job of writing those things. Prototype development and design. I'd say this is the edgiest area that I'm starting to use AI. Honestly, I can't choose a tool right now. There are a lot of great players. We'll get into which ones. Iterating on wins and losses. VWO in particular, doing a great job of this. We'll talk about Copilot. I can't click today. There we go. Finally, oh my gosh, imagine generating like a really tight in your voice report on the things you've learned this cycle, presenting it to two different audiences, to your execs over here, to your clients, to your team, like amazing. Okay, talking about expansive mode. This is expansive brain mode here, telling AI, hey, I need to start generating a list. I need you to think big with me, defining a problem. Okay, you can start with the LLMs. You can start with GPT, Claude, Perplexity, one of my favorites lately. I use Perplexity a lot. It's August right now, 2025. Don't write me, but like ChatGPT is on something right now. As long as you're prompting properly and you are okay to give sort of a longer, more instructional answer, you can just use voice mode. Check this out. This is Perplexity. Hey, I'm doing some conversion optimization for a client. They're an e-commerce brand out of Canada. They sell sunscreen to parents for their kids, and they have special ingredients. What are some ways that I could really differentiate this brand from its competitors and help convert more of its traffic? They're using paid ads and organic social as their channels.
To differentiate the brand and boost conversions, consider these strategies. First, highlight unique ingredients, customer testimonials and reviews. Position the brand as an authority.
I reached my voice limit. What's the app of choice I like for actually working on customer outlines and personas for interviews? That's Jasper. When we're running customer discovery interviews, obviously we want to be really topical and focused on the problem that we're trying to solve. We don't want to be super generic because you get generic answers back. Jasper takes input from you well before you prompt it for anything based on your customer profile, the type of language you want to use. It's really designed for marketers with an angle and a brand voice and an audience. Like Jasper far and away is doing the best job of sounding like me or like your brand and your client and writing in that way. So as we would write customer interview scripts to solve a problem, go through their day-to-day, introduce themselves, build rapport, all that stuff, you can actually use Jasper to sound like you and make a decent sounding script that you're happy to read in your own voice. Oh, there it is, Jasper. Okay, now we're changing modes. Now we're in brain mode number 2. This is systems thinking. This is refining ideas, right? Developing a premise to help connect your experiments, really, really key to helping with that velocity and that win rate to make sure your tests are laddered properly. Asking your LLMs to adopt a persona based on a certain academic or subject matter expert is really cool. You've probably seen like custom GPTs built before. That's all those really are. They're just informed and they're pulling from a different part of the corpus, adapt the answers in a new voice. And the theories and the opinions and the writings of a particular expert that you admire or you follow. Some of these names CROs are gonna know, like Steve Krug, like Don't Make Me Think. Still my favorite book. Read it once a year. I can ask GPT or one of the LLMs to become Steve and help me think through this design problem or this usability problem that I can't get my head around. And finally, what I like to do is I actually upload some of the consumer psychology principles, the premises that I try to layer under some of my experiments. Hey, answer as the UX expert Steve Krug, author of Don't Make Me Think. Help me understand, based on the principles of buyer psychology, which I've uploaded, why users seem to be ignoring our discounted upsells at checkout. The website in question is here at the URL, and off you go. So in a couple of steps, doesn't take long. You can upload your PDF of the principles. It's this guy down here. Choose an expert persona that you want to hear from, someone whose thought process you trust. Frame your problem properly in your prompt, and then link to the page in question, the URL, and it'll scan it. It's got to be the page, not just the domain. And follow some of these premises, right? Like, do we have a trust problem? Is there something wrong with the quality of the UX? Do we have a usability problem? If I'm asking Steve Krug, I probably have a usability problem, right? Is there a hierarchy issue? Like, where am I coming from? And I want to have my answers framed in this way so that when I start to get hits on my tests, I can start pulling that thread, following that premise, and keep going until I really get most of the the juice out of that fruit. Test briefing and hypothesis writing. This is still system 2 thinking. So best used in that classic situation all CROs find ourselves in, copywriting to death or hypothesis statement. Honestly, just go with it. I find it really, really simple to hold down, where is it, Control Windows key. I don't think this is going to show for you guys. I'm not sharing this, but hold on. Write me a hypothesis that makes sense for a cart abandonment e-commerce problem that can be resolved with, I don't know, colors. Whisperflow is actually like an application. So it'll run in any app that you're running. It can fill in like documents, whatever. And it even has its own built-in dictionary because I was born without vowels in my name. So I have to upload RHYS is Rhys into the dictionary, and it learns what that is. And it'll put that in any text that I speak, anything that I dictate. I think it's really great. It saves me a lot of time, saves my hands typing. And once it's heard me speak what I think is the best hypothesis, if I want to, I can flip that sentence over into, like, I think Claude does the best job of all the LLMs to help me reframe that into a more succinct, clear, really, really tight hypothesis. And when you write as many a day as a CRO does, it can really help to have a couple time savers. I would recommend this combo. Get your ideas out of your head, and then Anthropic, and then punch it into Claude. This is a pretty big, so hold on. This is a big category. Let me go through these each. They're very different in their approach, and these are not LLMs. So these are very much context sensitive. Like, they're important where you're working. Let's go through it one by one. Okay. Well, first of all, what's a prototype for anyone not in the CRO space? What's a prototype? A prototype is just the thing that you're developing to get it better and better, inch by inch, as you win your experiments, as you learn, as you do something. And usually in our space, that means it's either a web page, like a landing page, an email, or an ad. Okay. Why is this area so complex? A couple things. One, it's very important that any experiment is covert. What's that mean? It means the participants aren't aware they're under experiment, they're under observation. Schrodinger's cat, right? It changes people's behavior when they know they're being observed. So for any experiment platform, it has to generate prototypes that fit and look like the real thing, even though they're being changed and tested on. Everybody remembers the flicker, right? Everybody remembers the flicker, what a pain that was, because it kind of signaled to people that maybe they were being observed, they were being tested upon, and it often altered their behaviors. The cool thing about experimentation, one of the reasons I love living here in this space, is because a lot of what we're doing in experimentation is on the edge. right? It's on the edge of your design. It's on the edge of what you're capable of building. Especially when I was working at Intuit, we had a whole new, brand new design system outside of the one Intuit design system that designers typically pull from. We built our own outside of that for the experiments that we were doing, built it in React and Figma, so that we had the ability and the pieces and the devices to be able to test on the edge, on the border of what we wanted to push. And we got great results as a result of that. Clearly not editing this with AI. What do I want from a prototyping tool or platform? I want it to look like the real deal. I want it to look like what I'm already testing within. So if I'm sending Klaviyo emails, I want to be able to generate an email that looks like what I'm usually sending. If I'm testing on a landing page, it's got to look like my design. It's got to use similar or identical CSS tree. I'd say these 5 probably do the best job of that right now. Okay, so number 1 is Chameleon. They're out of France. There's a great platform altogether for testing in the first place. Great fit for like scaling companies, enterprise. They do a really good job altogether, but they also are now releasing a beta of their prompt-based experimentation platform. There's a wait list. I'm on the wait list. Let me in. Cool. And what it's actually doing is it's generating those sort of edge cases and those variants strictly through prompting. So we're not doing a lot of pixel movement. We're not designing that stuff. It's happening purely through prompt-based experimentation. It does a really good job of creating quick alterations that look like the real thing, undetectable. Off you go, run a test. Very cool. Time saver. These next 2 take a little more effort because they don't just build based on prompts right now. They're actually taking wireframes, so you do have to make your wireframes. There's Marvel prototype on a page. They do a great job of importing sort of like sketches in flat designs and turning those into interactive, clickable, looks like the real thing prototypes. I forget what they're built in. Is it React? Somebody check me. I don't know. But it looks good. It functions. It's fast and it's built very quickly. They run really well. That's Marvel. Just in mind, similar thing, IX Design. Again, it's working from frame. Create a clickable prototype. It's ready to go and begin receiving those clicks right away. Okay, bottom row here. These are a bit different. These are your just got a call while recording a video. Kind of broke the vibe. Okay, the lower row, this is category number 2. This is Lovable and Bolt. Certainly on the more product-oriented side, maybe not so much marketing, but deep in the app, you'll create some pretty cool, reasonably functional, reasonably looks like your app prototypes out of Lovable and Bolt. And more finite you can get on describing exactly the use case that you need and how you're going to build the thing, the prototype, whatever. That'll help you choose which of these apps is actually going to be right for you, which is my next slide. How do you actually, where am I? Click, where am I? Here we go. How do you actually choose amongst all these prototyping options? A couple things you want to consider. One, is it practical? Does the generated prototype look and feel like your app or experience, like your marketing funnel? Will a customer or a participant, will they understand they're still in your flow, or are they going to go, wait a second, this doesn't look right? Then it's got to fit your stack. And I'll say it again, like everybody uses Figma. Like say it from the back. Like who's not using Figma right now? So take a look at Figma's AI option. I forget what they call it. Oh, Figma Make. Isn't Make also another vibe coding tool? Anyway, it's getting crowded. All the names are taken. So there's Figma Make. I gave it a very simple prompt and it took a couple of minutes to hum. But you know what? I like that because as you know, I wish I had this animated. As it's generating code, I can see it thinking and processing and trying to build the right thing based on my prompt. You wouldn't build from zero in the way that I have. That's not practical. If you're testing something, you've obviously got a champion and a variant you're building off of. So you'd probably have your designs already sitting in Figma in the first place, and you'd be asking it to iterate, make changes, adjust, copy, design, flow, clickability, all those variants. You'd be testing that in Figma, and you'd have a much more careful, precise time prompting than I have with asking it to make, what is it? I think it just said make an impressive e-commerce site. That it didn't do that. But I really think Figma is a good bet because, again, your clients are probably already on Figma. It's going to fit their stack, and it's going to help you build a prototype in a tool they already own and use. Great. For all of the above, Figma 2, get the paid version. I'm on a high horse about this. The free versions are very limited right now. I think these guys have captured like what they've captured in the market. They know they're good. So I believe they're starting to get into that phase of growth where they realize who their audience is and they're starting to ramp up, pricing tiers and start reducing the free package a little bit. So go for the paid versions if you're going to do this. Again, the cost of a quick subscription to build a thing, which you can always cancel later, downgrade, like pay the money so you don't disrupt the test and you get actual solid learnings is worth the investment. I always add this, like get a tool you're actually going to use and enjoy. Whatever your reasoning, it matters. It should matter. Like pick a tool you're willing to get into and try and practice and go on. Okay, here we go. Old standby, old classic VWO. I'm a big VWO fan. I've been using them for years, especially into it. VWO has launched Copilot. It's got a couple of really unique use cases. What I like about it, on one case, we're back to expansive big thinking, creative thinking. What are we doing? We're talking about iterations on your wins, on your losses, and identifying segments amongst your results to see whether or not there's a there. The biggest wins I've had in my entire career have come from version 2, 3, 4, 5 on an idea that didn't necessarily hit the first time. I've never had a smash hit on the first try. Those of you that do that, awesome. You're awesome. Keep going. Teach me. But that's not me. I'm always winning on the next, and making small incremental improvements on a thread that we think has some merit to it. And that's when we finally hit something really, really big. So this tool, this Copilot tool that VWO has come out with, what it's doing is it's making suggestions with 1,000 filters, really a lot. Like there's industry, go-to-market model, page type, there's like 1,000 different ways. It's basically chunking different AI-led ideas with real-world examples from real brands, generating practical, easy-to-build variants based on the result you have already. Last but not least, one of the cool features here is it's actually going to pull out based on some of the results that you've seen. And as long as you've got like the advanced package and the tracking of what's it called, advanced filtering or whatever the feature is called, it'll actually start to recommend, hey, we've noticed a big drop in mobile participation. We've noticed, this cohort of customers, especially coming from ads versus organic, is reacting differently. And it's going to help make some suggestions on what you can do to help based on cohort segmentation. I'm really interested in where they're going with this because VWO's got the full package. It's got insights, which is heat maps, sessions, whatever. On the fence whether they're as good as Hotjar and Full Story, but it's there, it's available, it's in the package. And if they can thread that needle all the way through, I'm using my arms, you can't see. If they can thread the needle from insight, heat map generation, hypothesis generation through AI, threading that through session recordings, verifying it's happening, creating one of these modeled variants to solve that exact problem. And hey, it's been solved before at, what is that, Crate and Barrel? Oh, these are Crate and Barrel. Very nice. Imagine how quickly that's working. Again, I go back to the first slide in this deck. Some of that's removing the thinking. If it's doing the whole hypothesis generation, I don't know. It's just the fullest end-to-end thing I've seen happen here, and it's pretty cool. Okay, moving on to the next one. Now we're switching brain modes. So now you're prompting AI, although in this case, actually, we're not dealing with LLMs. So forget prompting for a second. What are we talking about here? As CROs, it's just as important that we get the results as it is that we explain them. We have to explain why the things that are working seem to be working so we can inform every other team we're working with that, hey, there's some juice over here, go and get it. It looks like it works. We think it's because of urgency. We think it's because of this discount working for this particular segment, and laddering in those premises so other people can play with us, share our toys, and off we go. So the learning share out is a really important artifact of what we do. I'm the king of uncomplicated here, and I still love using Slack for this. I think it's the best. Everyone's already using Slack. So right away, it's available to everyone, and we all know how to use it. It's highly searchable. It's indexable. People actually engage with it and use it. You can tag people. You can thank your exec sponsors. You can thank a client. And you can pound it with emojis, and everyone celebrates your wins. But it's also a great record of where you can keep links to your test pages, links to data readouts, all that stuff. But Slack is a super, super helpful repository for that. And it's uncomplicated, no setup needed. Give it a dedicated channel. Boom, test library. If you need to get more complicated, you know who you are. Google makes Notebook LM. I've been using this. It's pretty cool. I help it with my IP and some of the content that I develop for me and the work that I do in my workshops. What Notebook LM is, it's your own content and data uploaded to become sort of your own corpus. It's the basis for how it's presenting its answers. So think about how you could use this as a test library. If you've got enough, I'd be looking for the dozens to a couple hundred tests to make this worth the investment of the time. But it can start sussing out patterns. It can start looking for language that's consistent, some readings. It can start looking for patterns that seem to win more often. It can start looking for some of the more bold experiments. It can start piecing together things because it's only prompted by your own content and your own test one-pagers and that kind of thing. So I've already used it for some of my content, and it's already pulling out things. Again, it's pulling from my own words, things I wrote. And sometimes it surprises me, oh, that's really smart. Go me. So imagine what that could do for you as a test library. Every couple months, you start pulling from it, going, hey, what else is working? What am I missing here? We've got gaps over here. Have we done anything similar to this, but we do it over here? Okay. So those are my 6 discrete use cases that I found to be really helpful and time saving using AI. I feel like now that I've said the thing, I think the real benefit here is time saved. I don't know that I've really relied on AI to make a lot of decisions for me. I'm not trying to sound smart. I really haven't. I don't use it for that. And I haven't really used it other than maybe pattern finding, that kind of thing, just sussing out things I haven't thought of. But then I still have to be critical and go through and follow the thread kind of thing on my own. I think it is a time saving thing. However, this is some general stuff I'd use for prompting. This is now back to LLMs. I'd use this pretty much every time I prompt for anything more complex. A couple principles that I think you should take away, especially as experimenters. One, give them all steps, any LLM. I prompt based on like step 1 through, 8. To give you an example, if I ask a bold question and I wanted to research something, then I wanted to format the answer, and then I want that answer presented in categories of my customer segments, and then I want that as a CSV file with the data points. I can do that in one prompt. However, I can't just give it a paragraph. So I have to give it stepwise instructions. So what I'll ask is step 1, inform yourself with this context. Here's what I'm testing. Here's my customer. Here are the segments. Here's a bit of data I've uploaded. Read it. Step 2, synthesize. Look for patterns. Do what you got to do as an AI. Step 3, 4, 5. And then step 5 might be like format it like this. Ask it, once it's done the research part and anything it needs to get from other sources, ask it to stop searching the web. Oh my gosh, it'll save your processing time in half. If you say stop searching the web, turn off web search, it'll finish instantly. Save yourself some water and energy. I already talked about this, like specify your thinking mode. Again, really quick prompt. I've been over this. I won't belabor it, but it really helps to say I want a generative answer or I want a refining answer. Over here, tangible prototype. Okay, this is cool. Claude does this differently than GPT and Perplexity do, but Perplexity and GPT, what they're doing, what I'm suggesting here is to give it an artifact, like a PDF or something. What I'm proposing is that you give it the thing you're working on, prototype, landing page, email, and then constantly reference it for every question and follow-up after, so it doesn't just hallucinate and go crazy and give you another answer. Because what it's often I've found is it's not referencing the prototype on responses 2, 4, 5, 6. It's only doing that on the first one. So if you keep referencing the prototype deliberately and saying, okay, great, now refine your answer, still referencing ... PDF, whatever. Now refine your answer to give me this, and it'll do that. But often you can get way off base if you don't bring it back to the artifact you're working on. Claude's different. Claude creates its own sort of document. I wish I had a screenshot. It has its own document in a side view sidebar outside of where you're prompting. So you're prompting on left side and it's generating its answer as a document over here. And what's kind of cool, it starts to re-edit its document artifact in real time with you as it's re-answering things. So it's not generating a crazy long thread. You get your prompts on the left and then it's just editing its document response. And you can just see it in real time changing letters until you get the artifact you want. It just keeps editing that thing through. I'm finding it to be a little slower. If you haven't figured it out by now, I'm not exactly a super patient dude. Okay, last one is, you've noticed this, right? AIs have become just weirdly super agreeable, right? Hey, ChatGPT, I'm going to go play in traffic. What do you think? It's great idea. Probably some good exercise dodging cars. No, I need you to say, hey, stop. So I love to ask, especially when it's impersonating someone again, we've mentioned Steve Krug 100 times, whoever you're impersonating, buyer psychologist, whatever, ask it to say in their voice, if they would say, no, option 1 is enough. Don't give me options 2, 3, 4. Then say that. If that's the best option, then tell me that and don't do anything else. Don't give me a list of crappier alternatives. You kind of have to prompt that. You do have to ask it to stop generating. Saves a lot of time, saves a lot of power and energy and water and all that. Back on my high horse is a good segue. That's a pretty good segue. I didn't actually plan that. Yeah, go back to my opener, save the trees, guys. Do you really need AI to do this? You did it before. Can you do it on your own instead? And how can you use AI only as an assistant and a tool, or what do they call it? A lab partner? Because our brains are pretty awesome still. They haven't gone away. What does your brain need to operate? Well, it needs water. It needs 6 to 8 hours baby sleep. You need psychological safety to be creative and do your best work. You need to be doing important stuff. And you need significance, right? You want to know, I don't mean statsig. I mean, you want to know that what you're doing matters. I'm going to close on this point, and you can call it corny all you want. But the work that we're doing has to be fulfilling for you, clients, customers, because that's significant, right? If you made it this far in the video and you get my Bayesian joke about your posterior matters, hit me in the comments. Okay, that was it. This is my experimentation video. Thank you guys for the opportunity to talk about this topic. Look, I mean it. Save the trees. Be smart with your use of AI. We've got more tools than we can possibly use in a lifetime. This one's the one you want to preserve. Keep going with that one. It's going to serve you well as long as you take care of it. My name is Rhys, pronounced that way, even though I don't have a vowel. I run Formentor Labs. It's a consultancy that helps Series A, SaaS, and D2C companies figure out how to test and experiment better. Add me on LinkedIn. Follow this channel. Like and subscribe. Experiment Nation. I'm out. Wow. What day is it? This is why you don't film at sunset. Look at that. It was bright out when I started this.
My name is Remo Santiago, founder of Experiment Nation. Our new book, Prove It or Lose It, the mostly no-nonsense guide to surviving experimentation program drama is out now. Find it at experimentation.com and all major bookstores today.